wonder if a part of the challenge is that high performance women, wives, moms, all of our everyday women that listen to this is it one of the reasons that we feel so exhausted is because we're working so hard, but we're chasing accomplishment versus meaning.
Yeah. And the happiness, like you said, is more situational, and the joy is more of a choice. It's more controllable.
You're always thinking about what am I going to do next? What's next? What's my next goal? How am I going to get promoted? How am I going to do this, that, or whatever? And then maybe you have an awesome day or an awesome month, and then you're just like, okay, that's cool. Anyway, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Welcome to Lead Like a Girl, where we are empowering everyday women through our stories. I am your host, Jessica Smith, and I began this journey by sharing my life story. Now, I've joined forces with my longtime friends, Jamie and Corlin, to keep this party going. We met many years ago as young sales girls in our 20s, driven and quickly rising to the top of our industry. As the years went on, life happened, and we all found ourselves in new companies and completely different industries, still striving for success in it all. Career, family, faith, fun. Now, it wasn't easy, but we never stopped moving. Get ready for our real conversations, inspiring stories, and our big life lessons as we share it all. The good, the bad, and the funny. Welcome to Lead Like a Girl.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of Lead Like a Girl, where we are empowering everyday women through our stories, all the good, the bad, and the funny. I always like to start with that intro. Is that bad that I start with that intro?
Is the fact that you said, is that bad? Yes, that's a bad intro.
Man, this is going to be a spicy episode.
Yes, I think so.
So guys, how are you? For the record, as we were recording this, we never re-record, hardly ever re-record, but we have been on and off. We've had some technical difficulties. Jessica, how is your stress level right now? I want to know. How you doing?
Oh, like you want a 1 to 10? Today is definitely a 10 day. Yes.
It's a 10 in the stress day. Well,
Yes.
you are in store, Jessica, because we are talking about joy. Joy. I have two friends named Joy, which I always kind of love their names back in the day. Like, I absolutely love that name. And if you would have asked younger me, Cora Lynn, that I always have to say my name 12 times to everyone, versus Joy, I would have picked Joy all the time. I was watching another TikTok reel, right? Where I get all of my
Rarely. I mean, once in a while.
I know. It really is a bad. I'm breaking myself of this habit, but I just scroll through it. I've got a few people that I follow, and a lot of times there's some inspirational things on there. But what I watched was this guy they were talking about happiness and joy, but he said one of the best ways to get good at enjoying the moment and being happy is just to become so forgiving of yourself that you almost come into a state of delusion. Like you just forgive yourself so much and just let things run off your back and don't sweat the small stuff so much that it's almost delusional to the point.
Yep. I remember I was going through a divorce, a really, really messy divorce with my first two children. They were 1 and 2. It was horrible. And I still had to go to work every day and put on a happy face and be super positive. And I was a sales leader at my job. I had to train people, manage people, everything else. And I remember someone telling me, your positivity is unnatural. Like, your joy is not right. I think there's joy, and then there's like fake, I don't know what professed joy.
Yeah. Like just not real joy.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that experiencing joy for professional women who are also juggling all the things, wives, motherhood, resting, having girlfriends, all the things, could be one of the hardest things just to unplug and really experience joy. You know, we hold ourselves to a high standard. We try to get the most done. We sometimes replay our own conversations. Sometimes we second guess our decisions, like making sure that everybody and everything is in the right order. We are thinking about other things. I know for me, I find myself when we have events going on, sometimes I remove myself from the situation so I can handle the logistics for the next thing that we're doing. Like case in point, holidays. I will put on this huge spread, have tons of people over. After dinner's done, I will immediately go to the kitchen and start cleaning up while everybody else, minus a few of the other women, go play a game or watch a show or do something fun. And so I'm removing myself from the most fun parts to try to do the task and the cleaning up.
Well, and I don't just do it on holidays. I do it every day. Like
Yeah.
here's a perfect example. I don't sit down and have dinner. I don't know if that sounds weird.
Oh, no, it
After
doesn't.
I
It sounds
cook.
exactly right.
So when everyone else is eating dinner, I am cleaning up the dinner that I just cooked. So I'm usually the last to sit down and eat because I can't sit down and eat when the counters are all dirty and there's mess everywhere. Yeah.
I think to some degree this is self-inflicted torture on our parts.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
also a necessity to it because we feel like there's so many things happening. I will be the first. We have to find a balance with this because this is not. It's not good, and it's not. It can't be sustainable, right? At some point, we're all going to just lose it more than we already have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So before we hop into this whole big discussion, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about joy and experiencing that in our lives. But I want to know, here's my first minute fast is what brings you guys joy? And I'm not saying happy, what makes you happy, but what brings you just pure joy?
What brings me pure joy? Helping other people. I'll give an example. So probably a couple years ago, I started this group of professional people that were either thinking about going back to school or already going back to school. And it's kind of like just this support group. And one of the guys, he's like, I've been thinking about this for a while. And I'm like, dude, you got to do it. Like, this isn't so. I invited him to this meetup. Long story short, the other day, I woke up and nothing happened. I just wasn't in the best mood. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed, however you want to say it, but I get a text from him and I didn't even realize. Matter of fact, a couple of years, no, it had to have been almost 4 years ago because he sent me a text message and said, I just turned in my last paper to get my bachelor's. And I just thought about you. And I just wanted to thank you so much for the push that you put on me. I'm done. I'm done. Thank you so much. And that, like, I don't even remember whatever it was that I was thinking about when I woke up. It was just like I wasn't in the right mood. And that made my day. Nothing that happened that day could have irritated me, bothered me. I just thought about him and thought about that all day long. And I guess that's what brings me joy is when I see the outcome of when I take my time and pour into people and then however many years later they come back and say thank you for doing that. That brings me joy.
I love that. Yeah, mine's similar. I think the ability to have lived my life in a way where I could be a role model and a coach for young women where they have felt comfortable and safe to come to me and ask me for advice and come to me and ask me for mentorship. Coaching young girls gave me so much joy. To get to the end of a season and have them just tell me how much they appreciated the time and energy, and then also to have young adult women come to me that were friends with my daughters and just say, hey, Mama Jamie, can I come over tonight and just talk to you about things? And then to spill over into my professional life and have young males come to me and say, hey, can I debrief this meeting I just had? I just feel I just love that I've had enough experiences in life that I can relate to that variety of people
Yeah.
and be able to coach that That just that's like my heart. That brings me so much
Yeah.
joy.
And that's the only time we feel good about being owed, right? Is when you think like there's because
When we're wise.
We're
To
wise.
use our lived experience in a very healthy
right.
way.
My aunt, her service is this weekend. She passed away a short time ago, and they called it her Bohemian wit and wisdom. So I'll call it that.
I love that.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, and I would agree with you. So clearly, when I've been able to pour into somebody's life and you see the outcome of that work, because sometimes you don't, and it's just like I don't even know if that worked. But when I first thought about what brings me joy, my first instinct was when my son was born. I mean, that was like just bringing life into the world,
Oh
and
my
just
gosh,
seeing
yeah.
that was like so wonderful. But then I also think too, another part of my life where I saw real joy is when I saw my husband succeed in a way where I didn't really have anything to do with it necessarily inherently, but saw the struggle of where he was at and then get called up on stage and got an award for his achievement. My husband got the Mentor of the Year award
my
for our
gosh.
entire city a few years ago. And it was just so great. It was our local YMCA who runs the Big Brother Big Sister program, where it was wanting to bring light to their mentor program. And so it was the first ever award, and the first person that they gave the award to was my husband.
Oh,
And
Nice.
so it was so sweet. And so watching him accept this award, and he's super humble too. Like he's like, why would they pick me? So when that match of like, I don't think I deserve this, but all the work that he's poured into all these young men that he's been brought into a circle over time. So that was brought me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
Great. I think before we hop down too into what joy is, I feel like we should give an official definition so we know what we're talking about here. But so I looked up a couple definitions, and here's a couple, and see if this resonates with you. Is that one is a joy is an intense feeling of deep spiritual connection or pleasure or appreciation. And joy is also happiness, but it's rooted in meaning and purpose rather than your circumstance.
Mm.
Feel like diving into this difference between real joy and happiness is that happiness is circumstantial. It's based on outcomes. Sometimes things
Yeah.
go well and we're happy. Sometimes things aren't and we're not. But I feel like from even what you guys have said, joy can exist even when things aren't perfect. And when things
Yeah.
don't go your way, there's still joy. And so I think sometimes we can dive into this, but achievement and success doesn't equal joy necessarily. But even from when you guys are talking, it's meaning, it's purpose. That's where you experience real joy, I think. And so this is what it kind of makes me wonder is that I wonder if a part of the challenge is that high performance women, wives, moms, all of our everyday women that listen to this is it one of the reasons that we feel so exhausted is because we're working so hard, but we're chasing accomplishment versus meaning.
Yeah. And the happiness, like you said, is more situational, and the joy is more of a choice, and it's more controllable.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to still have joy in the midst of all the things that are going on. But
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with that. And I think that that is forever a challenge to not chase that. Or how do you just intentionally? I think I'm getting better the older I get, but I don't want to figure it out at 85, right?
Right.
we're gonna be on the lanai on the beach at 85. I'm sorry, what are you talking
I
about?
know that's
That'll be
I
the
know,
most
but
joyful
I
experience.
still wanna figure it out before then.
I'm probably gonna print this off and remind myself of this. But you had said joy requires letting yourself actually experience life. Many driven women are always thinking about the next thing instead of inhabiting the moment that they're already in. And I truly feel like I'm in that right now because I feel like I'm constantly, and I feel like I've been like this for years. And I think many, many women are like this. You're always thinking about what am I going to do next? What's next? What's my next goal? And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying that it's not good to have a next goal. However, if you get too focused on that next goal, you're not focused on your current successes, right?
Mhm.
So you're thinking about what am I going to do next? how am I going to get promoted? How am I going to do this, that, or whatever? And then maybe you have an awesome day or an awesome month, and then you're just like, okay, that's cool. Anyway, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like I'm in that point right now. And I'm so glad that you brought this up. I'm so glad that this is the topic, because I'm going to be honest, I didn't really realize I was in this spot until I read that. Because I'm absolutely in this spot. My manager told me last week, all right, you have enough on your plate. And I was thinking, oh no. I'm like, no, I can take on more because I want to advance.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, I've had successes that I haven't even reveled in. Like I really like the way that is written. Because I just feel like we probably have a success every single day that we don't recognize. I mean, if you make an omelet that doesn't turn into scrambled eggs, heck yeah. You know what I mean?
That is a win. You know what that makes me think of? I have a book on my desk, and I don't even know where I got this book from, but it's called The Book of Awesome. And
I have that. I have that book.
Do you?
Yeah.
Did you give it to me?
I probably did. I probably did.
But okay, so the short story about the guy that wrote this is that he was in the swamps of sadness. Like, he had so many things happen to him. Like, I think he maybe got a divorce, lost his job, many things happened, and he was just bottom lining. And in an attempt to kind of bring himself out of this super huge sorrow, is that he just started writing in maybe a blog about just one thing today that I think is cool, or something that I thought that was awesome, and just like ascribing worth to little small things. And everyone started reading this blog and his social media posts, and they said, you should make that into a book. And he did. And so this Book of Awesome is just like these little bitty vignettes that are like maybe like 5, 6, 7 paragraphs and they're just random things. It's the smell of fret cush grass is one of them, like number 76, and like number 92 is old school merry-go-rounds are awesome. And he's a really clever writer, so he brings a little funny mix with like the reality of what this is, or when you get upgraded to first class completely randomly, or just things like that you just daily things that happen in your life just bring you joy and that are just really awesome. It's just like super cool.
Just saw a tweet about that today where it was like, tell me something that's giddy. Tell me something you do that's like girly or giddy. And it was like 50 tweets, and all of them, well, it's not tweets probably anymore, but it was like one of them was like, when I set my purse on an inanimate object, I say, can you hold this for me? And it was like, when I hold my cat, I kiss them on the cheeks and I'm like, he's French. You know, it was just like really dumb, random things like that. Yeah. And I was like, that's freaking cool. I love that. I love anyway, sorry. Throwing fun into it.
And that's why sometimes it's not a bad thing to do that few minutes of scrolling, right? Because you experience those little fun stuff, moments. Yeah.
That's where I get half my materials. Yeah. I'm just borrowing brilliance all over the place.
That's whenever you guys log on to Instagram and you get all of my messages.
Right.
Which for me, honestly, is once a week,
No wonder I never get anything back from you.
Right. That's Jamie, you were saying something before though, and I think that this is true for a lot of people, including myself, is that I think over time, sometimes I start to develop I don't even know what you call it, like a professional personality, which is sometimes not the same as my, like this, like we're talking, we're laughing. Like, I feel like sometimes I can morph into a different person when I'm talking with you guys than when I show up at work, because I want to be whatever it is I want to be, like put together, like people take me seriously, all the things. And I think sometimes in an attempt to become accomplished and successful, sometimes the Cora Lynn that I know that I am whittles away. And sometimes she doesn't show up as her authentic self when I'm trying to be dialed in and professional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's an issue.
I do too.
Well, again, the older I get, I don't want to say I don't care.
Yeah.
But
you do. And I do.
I care less than I used to.
That's a better way to say
it. But here's where I think the core is I think it's confidence. as time has gone on, I have more confidence of who I am, my skills and my abilities. And so the older I get, or maybe, the more seasoned I get, and I find myself being myself more often, even in a professional environment, right? So I think that's what it really boils down to is the confidence in knowing your abilities, the more you can just be yourself.
I just think there's a rejection is surprising sometimes because, we've been in positions where, we have, let's say, your TED Talk, and you have a great response and you expect the response, but then maybe you're in a different scenario where it's like dead silence. So sometimes rejection is a little bit surprising and you're like, oh my gosh, am I off my game? Like, what the heck? But it could also be the audience. It could be you, it could be the audience, and you really don't know. So I think that I feel like it shouldn't take you shouldn't lose some confidence over like a day or a week or one or two presentations that don't go well.
Mm-hmm. Well, that goes into replacing whatever brings you real joy with just those accomplishment hits, like those little bits of dopamine that we get, that we're chasing, those little day-to-day successes, month-to-month successes. And it's like that, what we talked about in the last few episodes, where those little quick hits where it's like you keep chasing that, but it's very circumstantial. It's very one note. It's not lasting. So we continue to kind of chase that. So how do we get off that train and figure out what our joy is? I know when I asked you guys what brings you joy, both of you brought things that were very meaningful, people that you've poured into, and outcomes that you poured into girls or people that were in your circle that you've seen them just really change their life and really improve who they are and make progress. How do people decide like what actually really brings them joy? What does that look like?
So I think it starts with yourself, and it's really getting a good understanding. And I think people sometimes have a long journey with getting to know who they are. And some cases, it's maybe there's things about yourself that you don't like, and that's a process. And once you have really gone through that process of knowing yourself, growing yourself, that gets you to that point where you really understand what brings you joy. And it's just hard to get there without that, in my opinion. It's a process because a lot of times, those people that are, I call them snake face, like every time, like you go walk in a
Is
room.
that what you call them?
Yes. And and I always just wonder, like, I really I want to know, like, what's her problem? Like, what happened? Like, why does she always have the look on her face like she's just so miserable? And it makes me feel bad in my heart because one, I don't know if they know that they come off that way. But at the end of the day, I think that those are people who really don't know what brings them joy. And it's because they're still in that battle with themselves that they can't get to the point of really knowing so they can't get to joy because they don't know what that is. They don't know what it feels like. They don't know how to get it. So I don't know how I got there, but how do you get there? And I think it starts with yourself. It starts with what's the song, The Man in the Mirror. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
I know people that are like that I feel that they're constantly Debbie Downers, first to complain about something without any solution, and it's just very much a negative person. And I can find myself not wanting to be around that person, but I've also sometimes found myself being that person when I've been through different stages of life. And obviously, like, we're all kind of mentioned that maybe going through this big women change as we get older, that I've found myself going through periods of life where I am just perpetually crabby. And man, that is a hard jacket to wear.
Yeah.
Well, I try to wear that jacket in my closet by myself.
Just because so hard.
Just because I just don't want to. And when I'm around people, for whatever reason, not intentionally, I always see something that brings me joy when it comes to other people. And we kind of talked about that, like getting
Mm-hmm.
that, you really feed off of people. That's who I am. And so when I'm alone is when I find myself in those moments. But when I get around people, people bring me joy. Just people. The more people, the more joyful I am.
Well, I think sometimes, I guess my take on it is sometimes from the outside looking in, people can see, a successful woman, maybe they're married, maybe they're not, maybe they have children, maybe they have family, maybe they whatever, but they maybe look at a successful woman, and if that person doesn't have joy, they wonder, why not? Like, why aren't you the happiest? They kind of, people have that, there's that notion of like, if you have money, you should be happy.
Right.
Money should make you happy. But I'll tell you, in the last few years, personally, of my life, things have went really well in my life, but I've lost people. And there've been days when I don't even really know what's wrong, but then after the day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was depressed yesterday. Like, I'm normally not depressed, but that happened. I thought about my mom all day or whatever. One thing I always try to go back to is gratitude.
Mm.
Because just when you're grateful for what you have and you're actively thinking about where you're at in your life, I think that alone can change your perspective on joy.
Yeah, for sure. When what I do is I think about where I've been.
Right.
I think about where I started. I think about where I was
Mm-hmm.
born. I mean, for me, that's all I got to do. And that helps me
Right.
really, like you said, I think that's a great point. When you find yourself in that position of being grateful, then it's easier to find joy in that moment. Even when things may not be going the best,
Right.
when you remember there was always a time where it was worse. Like,
Right.
I can always think of a time where it was worse.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
Same. Just tonight, I was like, we should watch our spending. And then I'm like, I've been so poor. I know how to be
Right?
I was like, I know how to be frugal. Okay.
Yes. That's a great point. Name
But
anything. I
but
could tell you.
don't you think it takes a perspective though? You have to sit back and pause and not be in this like hamster wheel of life to be able to sit back and say, actually, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been in much worse. And
Right.
yeah.
But being
Yeah.
grateful for, whether that's the people in your life or your position in your job, or the fact that you have a roof over your head, or that your children are involved in your life, you know what I mean? Or your health. Oh my gosh. Like,
Yes.
that can bring you back to center.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
I love that both of you two are talking about things that are controllable for you guys too. Like
Yes.
like an inward focus, right? Like it's just these are the things that I'm looking at my life and my things, and it's just like and I'm grateful for those things. I remember this was probably a decade ago, but I was listening to a sermon and the pastor was talking about joy actually, and he said this that comparison is the thief of joy. And I know that that's been quoted a lot, but that always resonated with me because I've always like growing up, I was always wondering, even down, I just shared with you, like, man, why couldn't I have that girl's name? Why did I get Coraline as a name? Why couldn't I have a better
Why do I have a boy's name?
Why, right? Or why didn't we live on the other side of the road? Or why didn't, my parents stay together for longer? And all these different things. And all that does is it brings shame, it brings sorrow, sadness, all the things where it's like, or I could be like, grateful I have a really unique name, grateful that I had a mom that like stepped up and like provided for us, grateful that I actually have a house, period. So
Right.
all those different things, like just changing your perspective and just looking at inward and being thankful for the things that you have, that in itself brings us joy, right?
Yeah.
And not paying attention to all the outside circumstances. There's always going to be somebody better, always going to be somebody smarter, all the things.
Yeah.
And comparing yourself is not helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't help bring you joy. And the other thing that doesn't help is always being the victim. It's like always, like, you have those people, and I have those people that I know, and I try my best, Lord knows, to be supportive and just talk and listen. But it's, if you're that person that every time you have a conversation with someone, it's like, whoa, me. And I try to be very intentional. So I'll say, like, you guys are probably my circle that when all the things are going on, I'm just going to vent. But in the broader scope of the world, I try to be aware of that and not like every conversation I have is about everything in the world that's going wrong with me, because
Yeah.
that doesn't help you. Forget about the other person.
But
That doesn't help you.
I do though think, Jessica, it's healthy to have a woe me person. Like,
Right. Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
So lucky you guys. You guys get to be those people. But
No, I think I think you got to have somebody in your
Thank
life
you
that
for
you
that.
can do that. We love you so much.
well, but here's another thing too. You have to be intentional about who those people are too.
It has to be the
because
right
I don't want to
person.
get it's got to be the right person, because it's got to be people that you know that when that conversation is over, whatever you want to call it, whether they're praying for you or whether they're bringing you good thoughts or whatever it is important, because there are other people that you may not know that after that conversation, secretly, they're envious and they're hoping that your bad gets worse. That's a real thing. So you can't just, put all of your business out there to just any old person. And you might be wondering why your situation is getting worse. It's because the person you told is sitting back hoping, that the universe aligns with it getting even worse.
Yeah.
So I know I can feel when you guys are seriously, this is too much for some people, but when we're having conversations, I'm like, hey, I need prayer, or I need this. And you guys, I feel that. I know that. And knowing that makes a difference. It really makes a difference.
Mm.
So you got to get your people right. You got to get your circle right.
You do.
I don't know if you know this yet or not, listeners, but you need yourself a Jessica and
people
a
right.
Jamie
And a
Jamie.
Coraline.
And a Corlin.
You got to do it. I think
Right.
honestly, my takeaway from this really is, I feel like the joy is that constant, the gratitude, the confidence, just your heart being in the right place. And I truly think if you don't have that, it's a situation where maybe you need to go to counseling, maybe you need to talk to your pastor, maybe you need to talk with the doctor, something like that. But I feel like if you've got joy as the constant, the happiness and the sadness is that roller coaster. You're gonna be happy and you're gonna be sad. And it kind of reminds me of remember when you're a teenager and you break up with your first boyfriend and you think your whole life is going to be ruined. You know what I mean? And then you get your next one and oh my God, I'm going to marry him. You know what I mean? Like, and then you break up with him and your whole life is ruined. And then, or you get a job or you get fired or you get, it's such a roller coaster when you're kind of young, I would say. And not necessarily just when you're young, but your life is going to always have so many ups and downs. But if you truly have a good circle, you've got that person you can vent to, you've got joy in your life because you've lived your life in a way to make it that way. That's really the healthiest way to set up your life.
Yeah, no,
and I don't think it's too late ever. I'm going to be 50 in a month. No, less than a month. I'm going to be 50 in like 4 weeks. No. Oh my gosh, 3 weeks. I'm almost.
Wait, is that a real?
I'm going to be 50 on April 6th. It's March 15th.
Corlin, you didn't remind me of that. Speaking of joy and happiness, not to get way
because
off
I feel like
here,
Jamie is perpetually 39.
Well, sometimes I think people are like, I'm just, past it, whatever. This is my personality. This is my life. It's never your life. It's like never your personality. You can always change your perspective. You can change.
Absolutely.
So
speaking of joy and happiness, congratulations to Jamie. She has recently gotten married again. I love that. And no, and I'm serious. I say again, because again, people think that it's over and you found love at 50 years, close to 50 years old.
Yes.
And that's another episode. I think we need to have an episode just on that. And so that we can, just talk all things relationship and marriage, and it's never too late and all of that.
Finally
good
found
stuff.
the best
So
fit.
let's do it. There you go. Hey, that's what I say. Third time's a charm. That's what it was for me.
Also, thank you. This girl.
There's nothing wrong with that. Whole nother episode. But we're that wasn't a secret, was it?
I don't tell
Not
her.
now.
This is
And
like when
Corlin, do
Jessica,
not
you have any other takeaways before this episode
Yeah,
completely derailed?
do not edit that out. No, I think this is a great episode. It was just a reminder, especially after a freaking bad day. It was a bad, bad day. But thank you for the reminder that maybe my bad day doesn't bring me happiness, but the rest of my evening will bring me joy. Thank you.
That's awesome. So there you have it. At the end of the day, we can celebrate our promotions, our accomplishments, all the successes, highs, lows, everything. But we have to come back to the things that bring us joy, the meaning, the purpose driven things. And sometimes if we're too busy, you're going to miss it. And the reality is you don't want to miss your joy. So if this episode resonated with you, please like, share, subscribe to any other women or men or whoever needs to hear this joyful message on where to find your joy and to spread it. We are at leadlikeagirllab.com. You can find us on all your favorite podcast apps. And we've got some great merchandise on our website. And please help us share this with anybody that you might think needs to hear more about how to empower everyday women through our stories. Thanks for tuning in today, and we will see you next week.